What is up, guys? Today we're going to be unboxing the refurbished iPhone 8 here, and as always we get a blank white box. I'm going to be revisiting this phone for 2018 or what for 2021, and as we can see, as usual, it's generic stuff. Oh, he actually gave us a kind of a real looking USB. It's probably generic as well, but last time I just got an all black one. Alright, so let's check it out. Oh, he actually wrapped this one twice. Nice. Oh, and he put a oh wow. Oh, okay. Oh, and he put a screen protector on it. Oh wow, this is the first one I've gotten with a pre-installed screen protector. Nice. Okay, but the phone itself looks really solid. Let me get the sticker off. Alright, so just in case you've never had an iPhone before, the body of this phone, it's a very small, compact phone. Power button on the right side, volume rockers, your mute vibration switch. No headphone jack, of course, stereo speakers, and any charging port back here. And it's got a glass back on here. It actually still feels pretty solid and has a nice little weight for such a small device actually, so it does feel pretty solid in the hands here. On the front we do have Touch ID on here, which works great, and the interesting thing about Touch ID these days is that it's kind of better than, you know, Face ID, honestly, because you don't have to pull your mask down. So I really like, you know, using Touch ID since I've been playing around with this phone. So that was a really nice addition here. So I really think Apple needs to go back to Touch ID and shrink the notches that they have on their phones and just put Touch ID in the power button, and their phones would be so much better to me. But all right, so, you know, whatever. All right, the iPhone 8 does have a 4.7-inch display. It's a pretty nice display, guys. Especially, you know, at this price point for, you know, well under 200 bucks. It's a 720p plus display as well, 326 for the PPI. It's, you know, small display, so it can, you know, can get away with being a 720p display and still actually looking pretty decent. It's actually pretty vibrant and fairly bright. I didn't have any issues, real issues, playing with this phone, you know, outdoors, taking pictures, so I could read everything clearly here. So display is fine, and again, it's one of those phones that you can get to the the corners of the screen without having to shimmy and strain your hand. So I feel like anybody who wants a more compact phone will really like you know, this little budget iPhone option here. So yeah, the display on here is fine. Watching videos is fine. Obviously you have, you know, these sort of outdated, or I can't even really say outdated, because people are buying the SE 2020 with the exact same identical design, but it does look a little bit outdated with these bigger bezels here. But overall, display wise, I really didn't have any issues here. So let's just go ahead and talk about iOS 14 on here. It's ran super buttery smooth actually. I was really surprised. I had really no hiccups and stuff like that. Scrolling, you're not gonna get like animation lags. I was really surprised with this phone. It just ran it fine. I believe this iOS 14.4.2, and that's because it's running the Apple A11 chip, which we will talk about. It's still a fairly powerful chip as well. So if you just hop into like Call of Duty here, so if you check out like settings on Call of Duty mobile here, you can see we're actually on high, and we have the option to go very high with max frame rates as well. So this is still a pretty good little gaming device. Honestly, it's pretty impressive for a phone at this price point. Oh snap. Trying to turn my volume up. Oh, I'm a guy. Though the way the buttons are kind of small on here, but gaming experience is fine on here. I've been playing little casual games and stuff like that. So it's got 2 gigs of RAM, 64 gigs of internal storage on here as well. So it's definitely, you know, sufficient for just doing a little casual game and stuff. But games like Fortnite and stuff, you probably really can't max these games out, obviously. But I could put up a gaming test just for you guys who are really interested in it. But yeah, gaming on here is fine. So my whole thing with this phone, since it's, you know, a bit of an older phone, is that how many more versions of iOS is it gonna get? I think this phone could at least get the next 2 versions of iOS, you know, 15 and 16, because of how well it's running, you know, this iOS 14. I mean, it's really not missing a beat here. All of your widgets and stuff, they work without really lagging on this phone. So I really just did not have any issues with the whole, you know, iOS 14 thing, which I was surprised with. But honestly, not really, because if you guys remember the iPhone 7, that phone ran extremely well. So Apple phones do run really well with their latest version of software, since they have such good optimization here. This phone does have some pretty nice sounding stereo speakers, so we can check that out. Max volume. They actually have a bit of a thump to them, which is pretty impressive. So they sound pretty good, pretty loud, and have a really good bass for this size phone. So I was happy with, you know, I always say any type of stereo speakers on any phone is always a win for the consumer. All right, so what about the cameras on the iPhone 8? You'd be surprised that it actually still takes very competitive photos with today's budget phones, you know, at this price point. And I think the video is definitely better than any phone you're gonna find under 200 bucks, or even around that price range of 200 bucks. So it's just a single lens. It's a 12 megapixel standard, and then you have 4K video at 24, 30, or 60, and then you have a 7 megapixel selfie that shoots in 1080p. As you can see from the photos here, again, some really good photos. The only thing that's really making this phone's cameras, I guess, outdated compared to phones in this price range right now is probably just having one lens. You don't have any type of wide angle or macro lens or a depth sensor, so it's just one lens, and it takes pictures fine. So I didn't really have an issue with the image quality. You get some pretty good colors. You also get pretty good detail as well. The selfie camera is fine. I think the only problem I had was like a little bit of overexposure with photos, but other than that, it took really good photos for this price. Again, I was pretty impressed. So, you know, you don't get all the little fun cameras to play with, but just to take your phone out, if you're one of those people who take your phone out, take a quick still or whatever, you can get a really good shot. And I'll go ahead and let you guys hear the audio and see the video. Alright guys, here is the video on the iPhone 8. Alright, so you have a 1,821 milliamp battery, again 15 watt fast charging. Battery life on this phone is just going to be okay. This is not a battery, you know, champion of a phone. You're going to get like around maybe 4 hours and 30 minutes to 5 hours of screen on time. I've never gotten this phone to 6 hours. So that is sort of like the battery life that you're looking for, which again is pretty decent for you know, a light user. And honestly, at this size, you know, you kind of paying for that at this point. But yeah, battery life was just decent on here. It's nothing too crazy, so you're going to be running to the charger for sure. But overall, the iPhone 8 in 2021 is surprisingly still a really good cheap pickup. If you just want a cheap iPhone and you want to pay under 200 bucks for it, this is definitely a phone to consider. So what do you guys think? Be sure to let me know, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.